We had to hear some hunting tales. John Hart claims that he is done elk hunting. So now it's on the record.
After a successful hunt.
He got it full. He got it full.
Officially retired. Well, actually, I may become a road hunter. That's possibly what.
It's the next in the evolution of
Yes.
John Hart as a
But
hunter.
no more backcountry elk hunting.
Okay. Well, yes, Annie, take it away.
All right, I have myself, Annie, Kathy, Erica Grinday, Kyla Leonard, Violet Plummer, Leidy Wagner, Martin Kidston, and Kat. In 206, we have Commissioners Bureau and Strohmeyer. I'm struggling with her name, Dave.
It's okay.
John Hart, Allison France, Andrew Chorney, and Chris Lounsbury.
Thank you. Is there any public comments on items not on the agenda? Okay. Consent agenda, there's 1 to 4.
That's my future.
Items there. Is anything needs to be pulled out separately or discussed separately? I'd just like to add at the Cognizant event, it was really great to talk to some of the young programmers, and they were super engaging and all really fired up about the Aim Higher program, and it was
Nice.
yeah. I was pleasantly surprised. Sounds obnoxious, but I don't mean it like that. They were really engaging, and I was glad I got a chance to chat with them.
We have a beautiful new facility.
Oh, and did you see the pet portraits on the top floor?
The pet portraits.
Yeah, I didn't.
We need a pet portrait in here of the pet
We
commissioner.
Oh, we do. We do.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
No,
Yes.
I did not see that.
Did you get a sense of how many graduates were from?
Oh boy.
Just out of curiosity.
200s is in my head, but I don't know if that's like all the cohorts since the program started. Don't quote me.
It's a great. They've done a real good job.
Yeah, no, it's.
University. Oh, they did.
I don't know how many.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Well, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, action items.
Oh, here's someone who could answer the
Oh,
question.
yeah, exactly. Like, how many Cognizant employees have gone through the Aim Higher program?
I actually don't know that off the top of my head. I apologize. Nicole would probably know, but she's in Great Falls today. But I can look that up and get that info for you.
I'm just curious, yeah, if it's easy. Sure, thanks.
Yeah, well, so the first thing on the agenda today is to approve the BSTF contracts for Cognizant's next job creation grant, which will hopefully fund 200 jobs over the next 2 years, and is for up to $1 million in reimbursement for those jobs.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I would move that we approve the contracts.
Second, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, lady.
Thank you.
This is gonna be a short, well, I don't know, maybe it won't be short.
I intend for them to be short.
Okay. Chris, you have the next two.
Yeah, so I'm going to tag team the first one here with John, I think, a little bit. So as you'll recall, Missoula County engaged outside counsel through Keller Rohrbach. I'm going to say that wrong. I was going to say to represent Missoula County's interests in the national opioid litigation. That first case was settled, and as part of that, Missoula County signed a memorandum of understanding with the state of Montana through the Attorney General's office on how those funds would be distributed. One of the steps required for Missoula County to gain access to those funds is to create a governance structure, which is what you have before you now in the form of a resolution. And that resolution appoints the Board of County Commissioners as the governing body overseeing those funds. It authorizes the chief financial officer to act as the fiscal agent and the chief administrative officer to act as the primary point of contact related to those funds. That's what this resolution does. John, I don't know if you have anything you want to add about.
No, that summed it up. This is the first of what we expect to be many settlements. And the defendants that settled here are, they're distributors of opioid pharmaceuticals. So we're looking at Johnson & Johnson, and then a consortium of other distributors that have been called the Janssen distributors. And, you know, you may have heard in the news recently that I believe it's Walgreens and CVS have tentatively agreed to a settlement. So we're going to see this same process play out
Walmart.
for them. And then in the news today, I saw a headline that said Walmart has agreed to settle for $3.1 billion. So Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens are actual pharmacy defendants. You know, they're you go there to pick up your opioids, your medication there, and that's how they're involved in this. But obviously, Purdue Pharmaceuticals, it was the major manufacturer of opioids. You know, made billions over the course of 20 plus years, and they're in bankruptcy. But that process is playing out, and they'll be on the hook for billions also. And then there's other less major defendants that will either settle over time, or there'll be verdicts against them or in favor of them. But this is the first one that's coming through. And Missoula County is set to receive some amount of money in the next month or two. The way the payments from Johnson & Johnson and Janssen are paid out over 18 years. So we're going to get year one payments soon.
Do we have any idea how much ballpark?
I forget the numbers.
So there's two ways that local governments can access the funding. The first of those is a direct distribution to local governments, and the county's portion of that is right around $30,000. And then there's a second larger distribution from what are considered metropolitan areas, of which Missoula County and the city of Missoula are designated as one of those areas. And Missoula County's portion of that is about $150,000.
So
in that first district.
180-ish,
Yes.
and we can use it how?
So there are defined purposes in there, and John luckily has them handily available, which is good.
The approved purposes of what we can spend the money on goes on for pages, literally pages in the settlement agreement, which is a good thing. It's very expansive, but a short summary that I have, and I'll just read it. It's helpful for Mr. Kidston and others. The approved purposes include in-home services, media campaigns to prevent opioid misuse, treatment for people trying to overcome opioid addiction, drug disposal programs, support for law enforcement addressing the impact of opioid-related substance abuse in the communities they serve, which include, but is not limited to, pre-arrest or pre-arraignment diversion and deflection strategies, treatment and recovery courts, education of law enforcement officers regarding appropriate practices when dealing with opioids, including fentanyl, etc. So that is a very small snapshot of the kinds of approved purposes that Missoula County can use this money for.
Thank you. And since he's not here, we're nominating Josh to represent us in person, or with Mako, or what it was.
Oh, so sorry. One of the other things that will need to happen is that the urban counties as defined as 30,000 population or more, need to appoint 3 representatives to the statewide council, and the rural counties in Montana get to appoint 4 of those. So MACO will be leading that process, and they'll convene a meeting of the urban counties for you to nominate the 3 people you would like to serve on that. And so Missoula County, as well as the other urban counties, will get to put forth names, and you all will have to, you as a collective of urban counties will have to decide on who those 3 representatives will be to the state board.
Got it, okay. I'd like to submit Josh's name.
And we'll get to do that at the MACO meeting, whenever MACO convenes that. I'm not exactly sure when they'll get that done, but hopefully soon.
Okay, I move that we approve the resolution.
Second, any further discussion? All in-
John, I just
sorry,
had
go
another question. The first settlements for 18 years, subsequent settlements, will they also be for 18-year periods, or do you have any idea what that?
I don't have any idea, Andrew. They could be a lump sum payment in 1 year, it could be 18 years. Who knows? I suspect that the 18 years has set a pattern, which will probably be followed.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
It'll cost them less.
we're talking about major corporations with tons of money, but still to come up with billions of dollars in one fiscal year is a hard pill to swallow, no pun intended.
So we'll probably have a layering of funds going forward.
I suspect this is gonna be, something that we'll have to build into our process for decades.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. MST.
Yeah, so commissioners, you have a request here for you to sign an interlocal agreement with the city of Missoula for the management and funding of the mobile support team here in Missoula. As you know, that program started off as a pilot program a little over a year ago. Its first roughly 9 months were covered by a grant by the state of Montana. And since then, Missoula County, the city of Missoula, and Partnership Health Center have been co-operating that and funding that program through ARPA funding. And the county has budgeted in this year's budget. The city has budgeted their portion in this year's budget. And so this interlocal covers that. Looking going forward, as you know, you set aside funding to help with crisis services through 2024, which is next year's budget. And so we have funding set aside again for this. There are some additional funding resources that will come to the table to help support mobile support team, hopefully over this next year. And that includes Medicare reimbursement. The state is set later this week to release their rates, supposedly on Thursday, assuming that all goes well. And so that will allow the mobile support team to bill the state for some of their services and recoup some of those costs. But this interlocal basically lays out the funding formula that we use, which is a 50-50 cost share with the city of Missoula.
So that original state grant, that was state's ARPA dollars that came
No,
forward?
actually, that was a different grant from the state that came through DPHHS. Department of Health and Human
before
Services.
Pandemic.
Was not necessarily before the pandemic, but was not tied to ARPA.
Got it,
So
okay. Do you know what that's called? Just
I-
the DPHS less.
I do not
Grant.
remember the name of that grant, sorry. Yeah.
That just, I'm gonna forget in 30 minutes. Don't
Okay.
worry. Okay.
Okay, I move that we approve the interlocal.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Sequential intercept model mapping workshop.
Yeah, the letter is in your packet there, but we already signed it and sent it off. We're just
Okay.
noticing it.
It's important to track
Yes.
substance use disorder. Can you pass us the date, please?
Yeah.
Discussion items, events and invitations. Okay, I think we're done. Have a great morning, everyone.
Goodbye.